Hey there, thanks for joining me today. I am just kind of jumping right into it here because I'm running a few minutes late. And today I wanted to talk a little bit about using the stage feature that I think was introduced with Dorico 5. It's something that I have been using lately to just get some more, I suppose, robust balancing in my instruments before I bounce them out to Cubase where I typically finish my production. So for my workflow, if this is like your workflow, maybe you are orchestrating and you're writing your parts in Dorico, and then you get those parts into Cubase or some other DAW. Typically, I'll export all the instruments as audio tracks. I like to do my mixing, even when I'm using virtual instruments in Cubase, I like to do my mixing with audio tracks. Then I'll bring those into Cubase and I'll mix them. But it really helps if I can save myself the time of panning things and also adding sort of some spatial nuance with maybe EQ and reverb. So I wanted to talk a little bit about how these features work together. And over the next few live streams, I'm going to dive into it a bit more as well and get into more detail. So if you have questions about it, please do post in the comments and I will check those out and respond to any questions that come up. But the idea here really is that you have stage that you can set your instruments and players up on, right? So, for example, you want to have, your violins, your violin 1, violin 2, violas, those sorts of things laid out on a stage. And that Dorico actually has this amazing capability that as you set up a visual stage for your instrumentation, no matter what that instrumentation is, then Dorico will automatically manage your panning for you. It connects with something called space, a space, and a space is not something I'm going to get into today, but it is something I'll get into next time or the time after that because they're very closely related. So I think if I jump into the interface and show you a little bit about how this works, it'll make a lot more sense to you. So I'm going to jump into my desktop here, and what I've got open is just a simple, 4-part brass section, 2 trumpets, trombone, and a tuba. And when you open the lower zone here, I'm calling it the lower zone because that's what it's called in Cubase, there are these buttons which I think came into existence in Dorico 5. And you go ahead and click Live Stage, and you can see the 4 instruments that are in my ensemble, but they're laid out sort of in an area here. I can expand these out if I wanted to. I can contract them, of course, and I can also just grab them one at a time and move them around however I want. So it's extremely flexible. It's very intuitive. And if you wind up creating a new arrangement that you want to be able to use for the future, you can also just go ahead and click Save New Stage Template. And that brings in this version. It's basically copies all of your location settings and then presents them here, and you can save this as a new template. I'm not going to do that in this case because I really just want to demonstrate how it works. But when I move my trumpet like this, it's actually changing the panning. It's also changing its location in space. I'm going to touch on that a little bit so that it's clear how that works. I just want to remember the 4 main points that I want to talk about over here: adding instruments, and then how this is related to space. I want to make sure that I address those. So if you want to add instruments, obviously this is a relatively simple orchestration, then what you're going to do is you're going to go up to your play menu here. You're going to go down to Stage Templates. This is a really nice sort of templating model because what it means is that you can create an arrangement of these instruments as a template, and you can just kind of load it onto your project. So you can even have different stage and space templates that you use at different times. So I've got this one here. This chamber brass is actually a factory template, so I can't change that directly, but I can duplicate it. This is true of most templates, like playback templates, for example, in Dorico. You can't change the factory ones, but you can duplicate them into your own, right? So I've got now chamber brass 2. So this is just a duplicate of that. And then what I can do is go ahead and add instruments. So let's say that I wanted to, I don't know, add a violin 1, right? So I'm going to go ahead and add violin. I can just drag it over to where I want my violins to be. So in that way, it's very easy to manipulate what the instruments are that are in the template. If you load up an instrument template, or you load up a stage template rather, that has lots more instruments than you're actually working with, then those will just kind of be excluded. The template's more like a catch-all. So if you use the instrument usually, then you want to have it in your stage template. But if it's not in your composition and it is in your stage template, it's not like it's going to add the instrument or anything. It's just going to ignore it. So you can always add different stage templates here, which is super helpful. And the idea here really, if we look down here at my mixer, you can actually see how, let's just zoom in here so you can really see. If I drag this trumpet, you're going to see that the panning value for the trumpet changes. Actually, I guess it wasn't. It's here. Trumpet 1 is what I'm dragging, not trumpet 2. So you can see how the panning value is actually changing. Now, this is all connected quite closely to the other one of the other big new features that was in Dorico 5. I know we're on to Dorico 6 now, but that's space templates. And a space template allows you, I'm going to get into this in a future live stream a bit more, but essentially the space template handles how the audio for that instrument, how the sound of that instrument changes from front to back of the stage. So the most simplistic idea here is that maybe you have less reverb in the front and more reverb in the back. But either way, it's not a panning thing. It is about applying a send effect. So you can actually set up a reverb. You can even set up an EQ to like dull the high end when it's pushed further back, or make the high frequencies more present when it's up front. But it's a send effect thing, right? So front to back is a send effect manipulation that Dorico is doing behind the scene. Right and left is a panning effect that Dorico is doing behind the scene. And it's all based on this idea of the live stage and stage templates. Now, if you have questions, or you've tried using this, you have any questions or problems, please post in the comments, because it's going to give me fodder for my upcoming live streams. I want to get into this partly because it's a feature that I've been using recently to just save me time, and I think it initially was not that clear to me how to use it, and I'm hoping I can illuminate that for a lot of you guys out there. But also, I always just like to keep up on trends. It's a good idea. The idea of not having to go in and manually pan or add send effects to every one of the instruments in my orchestra is great. The idea of being able to essentially save a panning and send effects template in the form of a stage and space template is also great. Stage and space templates in the context of playback templates is even more powerful, because now I can very quickly get exactly the sound I want. I can think of an example where maybe a client that I'm working for wants a specific arrangement, or maybe I am even mixing something where they have live footage of the orchestra playing, and they're not in a traditional positioning. I could actually reposition that and have the parts match sort of spatially. It's very powerful. I think it's a great idea, and I want to dive more into it and help everybody understand it as well. If you have questions, post in the comments. If you're new to my channel, please like and subscribe. And thank you so much for joining me, and I will see you around next time.